Okay. Oh, there we go.
And here we go indeed, yeah.
Press continue.
Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast, and welcome today, Rosie MacMorland. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Rich, for having me. Very kind of you to invite me.
Oh, no problem. It's great the thing is, I'm trying to get this diverse mix, we're trying to get people who are new, people who have been in a while, people who've got specific areas of expertise, because I guess it's a more interesting listen when you have that mixture and that diversity, because just listening to experts all the time or just listening to new PTs could potentially become a little bit boring. So that's the aim anyway, is to kind of keep it fresh and different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I know you've had a career change getting into this industry, so it'd be quite cool to hear, I guess, a bit of your background. You've got a nursing background.
Yes. So I have done almost 20 years of nursing. So I went into nursing straight after high school. And obviously it was a great career for travel. You could get work anywhere you wanted, kind of thing. There's always a shortage of nurses anywhere around the world. And it was just it was a rewarding profession in so many ways. And it was just all about, obviously caring for people. Then I got into management, which was quite different, but it was still obviously caring for a team of nurses who, public hospitals are quite challenging places. It's rewarding work, but it's also severely under-resourced and pretty tough going. So to actually be able to help and support them as health professionals was pretty good. It was a huge learning opportunity. But I'd always needed something new. I think after 20 years, I'd kind of run my course a bit. I still really enjoyed it. I loved who I was working with. I had a fantastic team it was in radiology. I had a great team of nurses and I missed them dearly. But I just felt, I went on maternity leave and had a third child. And I just thought going back to a job like that with high stress, just full on hours. I mean, it was not shift work as such, but it was long hours, and just going back with 3 young kids, it was just going to be too taxing. Even with my older 2 kids and, being pregnant and being at work was taxing. And I think I felt like I wasn't really doing a good job at home or at work. So it was just one of those really challenging times. Even though I loved who I was working with, it was really stressful. So I thought, I love fitness and exercise. Maybe I'll go to AUT and I'll do the PT course. And I was actually just initially going to do the foundations course, and then I ended up doing all the 3 papers because I really loved it. As many people often do. And I met some amazing people through that course. And just as you're saying about the diverse, kind of avenues that people go with exercise and fitness and where they'd come from, it was so interesting to hear their stories as to why they were there. And they weren't just kind of 20-year-old gym buffs. They'd often had careers beforehand, and they just wanted to change like me. So we're all kind of in the same boat. And I think I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do with it at that point. Then I ended up having Charlie, so I went on back to the hospital. And then on maternity leave, I thought, no, I can't go back to that job. And then COVID hit. So I started doing I wasn't sure, it was quite a big, almost a risk, which I needed a lot of support and encouragement, because I could have easily gone back to my job and it was a stable salary and, it was what I knew. But it also had given me time to realize that I did need to somehow make a change in my career, and there was probably going to be no other better time than now. So, and my husband, actually, I have to give him a wee shout out, because he actually definitely gave me huge encouragement to keep going with this. So I started doing some Zoom online kind of HIIT classes 3 times a week with just like a friend group. And I literally just did it out there on the deck. I didn't have anywhere else to do it. I had 3 young kids running around. It was chaos,
Yeah.
but it was really fun. It was a great way to
Mm.
connect with, my friends all around New Zealand. Actually, my sister zoomed in from Australia,
Oh,
and
great.
I had a few other friends. I actually had a couple of friends in quarantine who did it,
Oh, superb. Good
which
timing.
actually would be a great market, by the way.
Actually, you're right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so started with that, and then we ended up building a garage, and you saw the start of all that, Rich.
Yeah.
And we turned that into a gym and got, carpet laid, and just got a few dumbbells and things, actually, which was really hard to source through COVID.
Yeah, they went out the door, didn't they? Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so then we got up and running, and I actually followed a few PTs around the area, and I was meant to come and see you, Rich, but
Planned it.
traffic was not letting me get there.
No, not that.
But I think that was a really good way to learn, is just
Mm.
actually you learn a lot through your course in AUT, but I think just meeting up with a few PTs that you may know, and they don't have to be especially in your area, because that often can get a little bit tricky, but
True.
if you can meet up and follow some PTs through their day, or just seeing a few clients. I actually was with Nikki Williams for a few days, and
Cool.
watched her in her element. She was amazing. So I learned a lot just through watching and observing and taking a few notes. And
Brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So what are some of the, I guess, are there some useful things that you've brought with you from that nursing career? I mean, obviously, maturity and life experience, which is extremely, really, useful. But
Yes.
any other things? I mean, obviously, there's that kind of crossover between health and fitness.
Yeah.
What were
I mean, it has set me up very well, and I think people say that you should go work in a gym to start off with to get that kind of base knowledge, but I kind of felt like I was halfway there, because I had a lot of those softer skills, the connection to people, the way to actively listen. There's nothing worse than a PT talking all about themselves, by the way.
Absolutely.
And just actually listen to their barriers to fitness, listen to their hurdles and what they've gone through, and often you can be a really good sounding board to people, and I think I learned a lot of that through my nursing. So then when it came to doing my own kind of business, all I kind of needed to learn was obviously the technical PT side, which I just learned slowly and surely. And I made a few mistakes. I did a few things that people shouldn't should do as a PT, but only very minor. And then you learn from all that, and then it's just quite incredible what you learn about people through this business. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like the fact that or it's different that you've had that leapfrog straight into working for yourself without some of that grounding, because that's one of the things that comes up with other guests, is how important that time is. And it depends on it's totally dependent on the person, of course, because everyone has different experience, but you've made that brave leap, and it sounds like you've done a good job of it.
Well, I also I work at Ryman over the road, which is a home, and I do that 2 mornings a week, and all of those classes are run through an external kind of business. I'm a contractor there, and I actually have learned quite a lot from that, just because I've got a few older clients, but also people who are brand new into fitness. It's given me a lot of good ideas as to where to start people into, like, regressing the squats using Swiss balls against the wall and that kind of thing. And it's actually taught me quite a lot. All of the moves there are choreographed, and like we have a circuit class, which you get assessed and all that kind of stuff. So actually my learning from Ryman has actually been really useful with my PT work.
Clever. So somebody who sort of sees that as a potential area of speciality, is that a hard market to get into? And I know it's local to you, but was it an easy access, or obviously they had to assess you, but how did you get into that?
Yeah, well, interestingly, I rang them beforehand and said, "Look, do you want me to do some papers or a course?" And I think it was actually the nursing which sold it to them, really. And then the moves are quite basic, but I think because if you can look after people and know how to regress things right back.
Yeah.
And that's actually what you don't really learn at PT school, is you learn how to load people up, but just to get right back to basics, you often need to learn. So yeah, didn't have to do anything paper-wise, which I was quite surprised about. But it's been good actually, because it's a steady. I mean, it's always there. You know, with PT, it's quite seasonal, which I didn't really appreciate. And even the Zooms, like, you know, it's cold and wet and people have all the excuses under the sun, but always the people at the rest home are there.
Yeah, that's it.
And so to have a little piece of steady income while you're building your client base is a really good thing to do.
Yeah, that's a fantastic, great example, and it's a good way of not having all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. You've chosen an interesting name. I like the name. So Jim and Tonic by Rosie. Yeah, I loved it. It's perfect. It's catchy. Where did that come from?
Well, it was really hard to think of a name. Like, I was going around in absolute circles. I was trying everything out, and and then you've got to make sure that it's not being used elsewhere. And there is a gin tonic in Mount Eden.
Okay.
That's why I put the by Rosie on it, and actually adding your name into it is a bit more personal. But what happened there? We were building the gym, and it's hugely expensive, so we ended up painting the interior ourselves. And it was quite a mission with 3 kids. Like, we were up late, paint everywhere. And anyway, we finally finished, and my husband's like, "Oh my God, we need a gin. We need to celebrate." And so I went out and made some gin and tonics, came back, and he'd been texting my family saying, "Yay, gin and tonic is finally finished, and we're going to have a gin and tonic now." Then it just, that was it. So
it's great.
I also quite like the fact that it's quite memorable, as you said, and also like, through lockdown, my absolute coping mechanisms was exercising and having the odd gin and tonic. So it's like, that was quite a good kind of double whammy. And it also is all about balance in life, and not taking things too seriously, and not overcomplicating adding fitness to your life. And that's like my whole motto, is having efficiency and really quick, effective workouts for people that don't take over and overload people. So there's quite a few kind of meanings to gin and tonic.
There are, and they all make complete sense as well. So I like it. I like it a lot. You came into this when, as you said, lockdown was kicking in, COVID had taken over, and you were getting into the industry. And I mean, that must have been potentially quite a challenge in terms of sort of saying, well, I'm trying to establish a business here, and we're one of those categories that gets locked down from level 3 onwards.
I know,
How did that go for you?
It was, I kept doubting myself, and so I needed people around me to really encourage me, which I'm so thankful that they did. But I wouldn't have been able to do it just as of my idea, because it literally, it was such an easy kind of road back to the hospital. Everything is quite tough initially when you're setting up everything. It is quite overwhelming. It's quite stressful. Suddenly I was gone from a really big team in the hospital to being on my own, and working on my own, and not even having a partner in crime. Like, it was just me. And so the self-doubt did kick in a little bit there. But when you think about having your own space, people quite like that. People like the fact that it's not a big gym. They like, a lot of them are a bit like my clients, they love coming to kind of a safe space that's clean, and they don't need to be seen by others. So there's a lot of positives with having your own space for people. And also, I was trying to develop relationships quite quickly because of that risk of going back into level 4 or level 3 and not being able to have people around to be able to do that online. So once you've developed, and I did actually do about a couple of months of like online Zoom PT sessions,
Mm, mm.
which was great because I'd already made a relationship with them, and then they bought some dumbbells themselves and we just did it over the Zoom, and it actually worked quite well.
Great stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And so the online thing is definitely a permanent component of your business now.
Yeah, I mean, it's very up and down.
Yeah,
People are either into it or they're not. Like
yeah,
it takes a bit of encouragement.
yeah.
Um, but I think the people that I've got coming, they just love the ease of not being able to think about childcare or about parking or queuing up for showers
Mm,
or
mm.
even like brushing your hair. Like you don't need to do anything. You can
Yeah.
be like my friend this
No.
morning was in her pajamas. And she was like, I just didn't want to wake my partner up, so here I am.
Classic.
But you see, you don't even need to have your video on. So
Yep.
there's no intimidation with
No.
online. And I think the Zoom's good because you can still relate to people and network and connect to people,
Mm.
but you don't have to be physically there. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I prefer over, say, like a webinar kind of style where you're the trainer and you can't see anyone there. I
Yeah.
think having that connection is quite important.
Definitely, definitely. That keeps coming up. That's the second time you've mentioned
Oh,
it. It sounds like that's an important thing for you as much as it is for the clients.
yeah.
You're a people person.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And I think it's also coming from a really busy team at the hospital
Right.
and not wanting to have that kind
Mhm.
of feeling of belonging to something.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of your sort of your individual clients, is there a particular, I guess, flavor or method that you enjoy using, or is there a sort of target market that you work with? And is that sort of developed yet, or is it still early days?
Well, actually, when I started, I had no idea what my niche was.
Yeah,
Some people
yeah.
go into it and go, I want to train postnatal mums or I want to
Mm,
train seniors, but I really didn't know what
cool.
I wanted. So I've kept my options quite open with
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of the Ryman, in terms of like I do a circuit class on a Wednesday night where I have quite active mums who are got school age kids and they
yeah,
want to escape the bedtime routine. So they come out for a night, and then I've got
yeah,
a mum, I do a mums and bubs group as well.
yeah,
Um, and actually Kirsten Campbell runs those amazing
yeah,
courses
yeah,
through for
yeah.
postnatal. So if you can get onto one of them and you want to do postnatal, I would
Mm,
definitely do
mm,
that.
mm.
But so my niche is not really there, but in terms of the PT side, that's where my niche is quite obvious.
Okay.
Um, they're 35 to 50-year-old females. Some of them have kids, not all of them
Yep.
do. They often work from home,
Mm,
which is amazing because
mm.
then they're quite flexible with their time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who work in big gyms obviously have to work the 5 a.m. shifts and then they're there till late, whereas
Yep.
I can kind of squeeze them in school hours, which
Yep.
is
Yep.
really good. And they're often mums who have kind of lost themselves a bit. When you have kids, you kind of can't do all the gym stuff that you
Yeah.
used to. Like
Yeah.
myself, I went through all of that, and they want to kind of they want to find their fitness, is what
Yeah.
I've put in my website. They want to find themselves again, and I love that niche because that's where I've been and where I've come from.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can relate to all of them nicely, and it
Yes.
and it gives you that lifestyle as well, doesn't it? You talked about the gym people and the hours that they've got to do. I mean,
Mm.
having your own facility just means that you create a bit of a lifestyle for yourself, so that you don't
Exactly.
have.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you don't get into that burnout territory. You can
Mm.
balance your week to suit you far more,
Yeah.
being your own boss. And I guess there's always pros and cons of being your own boss, right? It's great, but it can also be a bad thing depending on how motivated you are, how organized you are, all those different things.
Oh, I know, and you don't ever kind of stop thinking about about it. It's always there. Like, how can I get people to circuit? How can I up my Zooms? How can I? There's just so many
Yeah,
things you have to think about, but it's so fun at the same time. When something works, it is the best feeling ever.
yeah, yeah.
It's kind of trial and error at the start.
It is. And I think you're right. And if you don't know your niche, that's the best way to do it, isn't it? You know, you just
Yeah.
try the things that you think are going to work, and eventually you'll find what does work. And I think that's when you know when you've got it, is when you're in that state, when things are going really well. That's that flow state that people talk about. And
Yes.
it's like, that was it. That's my niche. You know, those are the people. Those are my people. You know, and then
Yeah.
then you can market to them ongoing, because you've kind of
Yeah.
found your thing.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
find it early on is a great thing. It took me ages to work out what I, you know,
But
who
yeah.
with. But yeah, to find it and to then be able to kind of hone in on it and keep working with it.
But I think also to have that niche, but then try not to let it kind of tunnel you into just that group of people. And I love the fact that my week is so varied. Like, I think if I did PT with, you know, that age group all full time, I think I would start to get quite tired. And then if I did Ryman full time, I'd get exhausted. If I did, you know, so actually doing some, like on Wednesdays, I take 3 different groups, and that's kind of my group day. It's really exhausting because I'm pulling equipment in and out of the car and stuff, but it just adds a really good level of variety to my week.
Yeah, so variety equals energy by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But the problem is when the baby wakes me for 3 hours in the night. Then I've got to put on a serious poker face.
That's a tough one, isn't it? Because because it is a reasonably physical role, you know, you need every ounce of energy you can muster from a good night's sleep. And when you're not in control of it yourself, life can be a bit challenging.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I guess the thing with that is that it helps you develop ways of finding other sort of outlets, or other ways of sort of restoring your energy. You know, finding little snippets during your day for yourself. And I guess that comes back to being your own boss, and you know, taking time out for yourself, maybe going and having a coffee with a friend, or those sorts of things. Can be hugely restorative. And I suppose what that means is that you can then find lots of tips and tricks that you can share with clients, right? Because there's going to be other people in the same boat, and they're not always going to be in control of their sleep. So the more tools you have in your toolkit, the more you can then share it with your clients.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
So we've kind of covered a couple of things already in terms of the wisdom that you've brought into this role because of the experience you've got. Other tips that you think might be useful, that not necessarily, you know, that you've brought with you, but things that you've learned that could be good for the audience to kind of put onto their list, maybe.
Yeah, I've got a little.
Good.
I'll just refer to my notes. Okay. So the first one was obviously I didn't realize how seasonal, as I touched on before. So just bear that in mind when you're starting up a business, that it's not all going to be huge numbers and everyone excited to be there the whole time. You're going to have people who are moaning and groaning about where, like, they're tired. You get all of that, and you somehow have to pick them up, and you just have to, even if you're feeling crap yourself, you have to scoop up these people, and it is quite exhausting. But I think the whole seasonal thing actually gave me a bit of a shock, because I was like, oh my god, January and February, they were actually quite long months, because that's the time when I thought everyone would want PT, but I felt that everyone was just having these huge long holidays. I was like, can this holiday just bloody stop? Can everyone get back to work?
Everyone's on the beach.
Everyone's on the beach. And so it wasn't really until about March where people were, and I know that stats say that January and February are when people want PT, but I actually found it was about March when people were like, got to get sorted, or it was more springtime, you know, so winter had been and gone. They'd kind of felt a bit crappy over winter and kind of let themselves eat lots and drink lots and kind of tuck themselves up, and then of course they want to get fit again. But I think the golden clients are those ones that aren't coming for weight loss, that they're coming for like a change in lifestyle, or they've suddenly hit something in their life, whether it be a health reason or you know, pre-diabetes, or they need it not for aesthetic looks, but more for their life, and that consistent accountability. That's the people that are golden, because they don't care if it's winter, or they don't care if it's
No. There's like a higher plane of thinking almost, isn't it?
yes.
Of needing that. It's a health thing. It's a lifestyle thing. It doesn't matter when in the year it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I just want to talk about social media, because I'm not obviously a very natural when it comes to this. It was literally like, where do I start? I have no idea. So a friend of mine runs a great course, Claire O'Connell, called The Classroom, and she does social media classes for businesses.
Wow.
But who I stumbled across was Ryman, who does the social media courses for, especially for fitness professionals, and she's just amazing with her ideas and her knowledge and wisdom. So she's been really helpful. I'm doing a course with her tomorrow afternoon, actually, on Zoom. But to get help with things that you're not really comfortable with is really important, because you might be able to do all the fitness stuff really well, but that's just not the whole business. You need help with your accounts. You need help with so many different avenues. So she actually sent me an email the other day saying that, to a group of us, saying that the problem can be that you've entered the fitness world because you've got this passion and excitement and energy for fitness, but the clients that you're getting often don't have that.
No.
They could be completely opposite, and they are dreading coming. And so that's the kind of, you've got two people in a room who've got very different, they're on different pages. And so that can often be a bit of a barrier to connecting with people. So I think that's quite a good thing to keep in mind, is that not everyone are like us. We're actually quite weird.
Yeah, that's right. We are the odd ones.
My mum thinks I'm totally weird. My dad loves fitness, and my mum does too, but she thinks we've just got this full obsession. But we're quite a minority, so we just have to remember that people are actually coming to you for a reason, and they're probably definitely not into the fitness like we are.
Yeah, I think that's very wise. I love that. That's fantastic. Anything else on your list?
My list. So I was kind of touched on it before about that people. I've only got one client that's actually wanted measurements. You know, like their goals are to just improve their mental clarity, or their training for something, or or they just want to do strength for 2 times a week because they know in their 40s they should, because of all the incredible health benefits. So when it comes to goals, it's actually quite hard to set goals for these people, because they don't want measurements, they don't want specifics, they just want to feel better in themselves. So just keep that in mind, that through the whole PT course, it's all about, how we're going to get the SMART goals and all that kind of stuff going, and you have to be quite creative with your actual clients to get a measurable goal.
Yes, I like it. Yeah, good.
The other thing was posture. It's a big thing that I've learned. Like pretty much every client that I've seen, and I'm doing it myself, they are like this. They've been working from home, they're over computers, and to actually begin the session with somehow opening up the chest is super important, and to actually give them exercises that do help with the posture is hugely important, because there are so many issues with posture out there. I can't believe it.
Agree.
And the only other thing I had was try not to over invest in equipment, which is when you're starting out, just start with a few pieces and see how you go. Don't rush in and get the big machines and the most expensive spin bikes and all that kind of stuff. Like, just go easy. You don't actually need a huge amount, especially for beginners.
Yes, lovely. Agree. That's fantastic. Really good. Excellent. That's brilliant. That's a fantastic list. I really appreciate it. It's been so good chatting and
thanks, Rich.
Picking your brains. It's it's a delight. So I really appreciate your time. Thanks, Rosie.
That's okay. It's been a very interesting journey, and just to say to everyone, I wish you all the best. And there's just so much goodness out there from this career. And there's so many amazing people that you can actually contact who are already in the business and in the fitness industry and know so much. So just keep reaching out to people because they're all so amazing with their knowledge.
They are, and very generous. I think, you know, the ones who the right ones are the ones who just want to help and give back. You know, they want to help you be successful, you know, and maybe share some of the stuff that they've learned. Yeah, there are plenty out there.
There are.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
All right.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rosie.
Thanks, Rich. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.